Hello, everybody, and welcome to UFO Secret Space, and I'm your host, Janet Lessin. And today we have a guest. Our guest is Brett Carstens, and he's a casual psychic from the YouTube channel of the same name. Brett's haunted childhood fostering an open mind and an attitude that anything is possible. This philosophy enabled Brett to find success working in such varied careers as visual arts, television production, and teaching. It also inspired him to develop and pursue the gift of his psychic and paranormal abilities, which allows him to remotely or in person communicate with ghosts, angels, and other entities, clear ghosts, demons, and negative energy from locations and people, heal with energy, and perform spirit rescue, assisting spirits with moving on if they are stuck here. So I'm not going to read everything. It's up on aquarianradio.com. I have a profile page and all kinds of information and pictures on Brett Carstens. But without further ado, I'm going to welcome Brett. I think he's here. Let me turn on his mic.
Hello?
Hi. Aloha, Brett. Welcome to the show. Did you hear the intro? Were you in?
I didn't. I did not.
Okay, well, I was introducing you, so sorry about that.
Okay.
But anyway, rather than me tell our listeners all about you, I'd like you to start. First of all, welcome to our show. It's great having you here. And
thanks.
Why don't you tell us about your life and who you are and how you got started on this incredible path as a casual psychic. What does that mean to be a casual psychic rather than a whatever the opposite is? Go ahead, take it away. We'll listen for a while.
Okay. Casual psychic is kind of it's more about my attitude and approach to being psychic. I think there are a lot of psychics out there that are and a lot of mediums out there that are kind of more uptight or reactive about things, and I think my whole manner is very casual. So that's kind of where casual psychic came from. Like I've seen it, I've experienced it, and we don't have to feed energy and feed frenetic energy into things that happen that are psychic or paranormal or whatever. So that's kind of how casual psychic came about. And yeah, I like to treat it in a relaxed manner instead of just being very formal with it. Because I think everybody's psychic, and so I think it's easier to approach it that way.
So that's interesting. You think everybody's psychic. So how did you discover that you were psychic? When
I was a little kid, we had paranormal activity happening all the time at our house, and this is.
Where were you living?
This is in San Diego, and it's the kind of house. If you've seen Paranormal Activity, that movie, it's that 2-story stucco house in suburbia that doesn't look haunted, doesn't have any sort of thing going on with it. But it was haunted. We had a whole lot of spirit activity and stuff going on at this house. And the whole family knew stuff was going on. But I think I had it happening to me a little bit more than the rest of the family. And so I remember, like, as we were moving in, and I think this was at 7 or 8 years old, we were moving in, and a spirit came to me, and this is like my very first mediumship kind of experience. A spirit came to me, this woman, and I basically saw her in my mind, and she took over my vision, she took over my hearing, and she was just right there with me. And I'm 7 or 8 years old, and I don't know what's going on. But there's a woman there, and she's pleading for my help, and I don't know what to do.
Wow.
And so I just kind of lost it and started crying because I didn't know how to deal with something like this. But I think that she had died on this twisty road behind our house. And I think she was just coming to me to try to get help or to try to connect with somebody. And so
she
that
was stuck in between. She wasn't able to move on. She was just stuck. So just to give you some insight, I grew up in a haunted house too, and I'm very psychic because I saw them too. So I can relate to everything you're saying. But I'm going to let you tell your story. But just to let you know, you don't have to convince me. I understand it all. I know what you're going through.
Oh, for sure. You know, it's funny. Okay, so being psychic, being a medium, before the show, there was something that it was kind of like, oh, well, tell about yourself, but make sure to include that you aren't just talking about yourself while you're talking about your experiences, because a lot of the listeners of this show are the kind of people who have had this exact same kind of thing happen. You know, you don't get drawn into looking into the paranormal or UFOs or something that is like a different kind of phenomena without having your own personal experiences to draw you in at some point. And so, you know, I'm thinking people that are listening to a podcast or watching a show that is really about the paranormal have had some sort of connection with it. And so, you know, the story of being a little kid, not knowing what's going on and being the one that draws spirits and draws activity to you, I'm sure that's you, and that's, you know,
right.
95% of your listeners. You know,
yeah,
so.
There's a lot of. Although I had a friend come and she just seemed like the type that would be psychic. She says, "I've never had anything happen, not one thing." You know, and so you get those people. You know, they don't look a certain way, right? There's just people that are and people that aren't.
You know,
so.
I think there are people that are and people that aren't paying attention, people that are resistant to it, because I bet this woman has had experiences with it. I think it's just paying attention and connecting the dots. And it's kind of weird because you have to really just kind of go for it and go with it when you're starting out and when you start having these experiences like synchronicity or something like that. You know, you have these things happen. And if you dismiss it, you're going to continue to dismiss it. And if you go, I don't know, there's something there, and you put a little tag on it and say, okay, I'm gonna notice this and set it aside and pay attention and see if something like this happens again. And I think with doing that, it tells the other side that you're down with this. You know, it's like, hey, I'm paying attention, and so they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna keep giving you more. I'm gonna keep giving you more signs and symbols, and we're gonna see.
So what happened
you know,
with the
see
woman?
where it takes us.
What happened with the woman that came to you? Let's finish her story.
I think she realized that she was scaring me, or I didn't understand or didn't know what to do, and so she left. But we had a woman at our house, this spirit woman, and before we moved in, this was like the weirdest house. It's like we're looking at houses in this neighborhood, and down in San Diego. My dad was in the Navy, and so we're moving around a lot, and ended up back in San Diego. That's where I was born, and we just kind of kept going back to San Diego. And so we go back to San Diego, and we're looking for a place to live. And a house comes on the market, and it's like a really good deal. It's just not selling for some reason. And we go check it out. It's yeah. Yeah, you know where this is going. So we go and we check it out, and things are a little weird, but you know, I'm a little kid, so I don't know anything, or I don't know anything about houses, but it was a good deal. We ended up getting it. So we're starting to move in. The day we're moving in, all the neighbors come over and they're like, thank heavens you guys are moving in. There was all sorts of strange activity going on around this place. And it had been running as a brothel, basically, or they were running prostitutes out of this house. And so the house had some weird stuff, like holes in walls, like peepholes. There was a strange kind of attic thing on the side of one of the rooms, and inside the attic, it looked like that was a place for a little kid to stay when Mom was doing her thing. And so, I mean, there was like some crazy stuff that happened there, and I'm sure that draws all sorts of crazy energy also. So if I wasn't open and being a psychic little kid, you know, getting into a place like that with all of that kind of energy sure kicks me on. And so like we had this kind of activity, we saw this kind of stuff a lot of ghosts, a lot of stuff out of the corner of our eyes.
Did you only see that woman the one time, or did she? What happened? So you see this woman, you cry. What happened next? I think she was surprised at my reaction, and so she left. And then I didn't really think much of it. I didn't know what happened because it overwhelmed all of my senses. I couldn't see anything but her. I couldn't hear anything. I didn't know what was going on around me. And then, so she left, and I don't think we had her around anymore. But there was another woman that was at the house, and this is crazy. My brother and I woke up in the middle of the night seeing this woman at the foot of our bed, and I watched as she sank down through the floor and into what would be the garage underneath us. And the thing that's crazy is she looked totally like, you know, this special effect ghost. I mean, she's like totally special effect style ghost, you know, that white glow. And she was, it was like under a veil or under a white sheet with the holes in it. So like the death shroud. And I've, you know, we've got that in our culture. That's like, you know, Casper, you know, we see that kind of thing as a standard cartoon kind of ghost. And there she was. And I could see both the shroud over her or veil over her, and then also her features and stuff. So it's kind of, what would it be, translucent? So somebody got it right. Somebody got it right.
Yeah.
Somebody who's depicting this in Hollywood, and they got it right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And you know what? I've never seen anybody talk about seeing anything like that before. I mean, it's in our culture, but I've never heard any paranormal investigators or psychics or anybody talk about seeing the veiled or death-shrouded ghost. I've never heard that. So it's just really strange to me. And it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know.
Well, they got Casper from somewhere. Because when I was a kid, you know, looking back, I'm going, okay, I really liked Casper. And I was seeing people, but they seemed like they were almost see-through. You know, they weren't solid. Yeah. They looked human, but they weren't solid. That was but that wispy stuff. What is that wispy stuff in the veil? That's interesting. So you're having these ghost things. Are you talking to anybody about it? Like, I used to invite my friends over and say, you want to see a ghost? Come on over to my house. And sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't.
No, but you know what? The family was seeing things out of the corner of our eyes, and so it was known that there was something going on at the house. But I was the one that was the center of a lot of this activity, and it wasn't. I don't see it as like a poltergeist, but I see it like I think if you're psychic or if you're open, or since I'm saying everybody's psychic, if you're like really psychic, if you're really open, you put off a glow, and that attracts the folks from the other side, and they come up and they're interested and they will interact with you. And so I was the one that was glowing at the house, and so I had all sorts of stuff. And I mean, I'd see that mist, the 2 foot by 2 foot mist in the hallway, and I would see things. I saw this, I don't know, 3 foot tall ghost like fly past me, and I darted the other way, surprised by it. And then there was one time, this was interesting. This told me a lot about how ghosts and how spirits are not just like place memories. I saw something down in the hallway. I saw this white thing, and I chased it down the hallway and chased it down some stairs. And I mean, this is like full-blown kid run through a house. Right, yeah. So that's pretty fast. So, down the hallway, down some stairs, and watched it disappear through some other doors. I run up to those doors, throw them open, and there's nothing there. But it reacted to me chasing it. It reacted when I saw it, and it was it was being chased. So it was sentient. It didn't know that I was doing something. So that was a first for me. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
There was this head that kept teasing me, like in the middle of the day. Oh, on Sundays, I'd come home to watch cartoons. My mother didn't force me to stay at church. It was boring, so she let me come home and watch cartoons. And lo and behold, this head would come up, and first I would sense it, and then I'd turn around and see it, and eventually over time, because it was just going on all the time, I would chase it. And like you said, it just disappears up around, and I was feeling, cool kid too, I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and I'm chasing this thing. And it seemed to be laughing at me. That was what was interesting. Like full conscious, sentient. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, do you know, like, was it a kid? Was it an adult?
Oh no, it was a man with a beard. A man with a beard. He looked like he might have been like from the 1800s. The house I grew up in was an 1840s farmhouse, and it was in Pittsburgh. And it was a bunch of row houses, like you lived in, But ours, a lot of ours were wood and different materials, not all brick, but there were some brick houses. Yeah, so my sister still has that house. I try not to freak her out, but they never bothered her. But I was the one, she had some things happen, but I was mainly the one that they really were drawn to. And so eventually I asked them, I said, why me? Why you bother me? And they said, because you can see us. We know, we see that you can see us. So you're it.
Yep.
So
you're putting off that glow that I'm talking about, or the shining, like in the movie The Shining. You're shining, and they're very aware that you can interact. So
I can
you're
see
them. Draw their attention.
So have you talked to them? Did you learn to talk to them?
You know what? I didn't think. No, I didn't think anything of it when I was a little kid. I did sleep with like a flashlight, and I had a camera, and I wanted to get pictures of them or get evidence of them, and I carried that on through my whole life, being a little paranormal investigator. So, I'm a little kid, and I'm going through all this stuff, and all that told me was like ghosts and stuff are real. And then in high school, I didn't think much of it. I was always looking for the paranormal kind of thing, or I was interested in Sasquatch and UFOs and, you name it, anything from, anything that you would put on your show, probably I was devouring it, And I didn't think much of it. In high school, I would do card readings using playing cards with my friends, but I never considered myself psychic or a medium or anything like that. And people would just consider me a ghost magnet, and I would just have weird things happen around me, and I embraced it. I was like, okay, you know what? Like, this is this is how it is. This is reality. So I'm going with it. And everybody
so people were accepting of you.
People were okay with me. They were totally fine with me, and I think it really helped to have my family's support with just, it wasn't a hobby or anything like that. It was just, this is just the world we live in, and I was involved in music and stuff like that, and this was just another thing, another aspect of my world. So everybody was okay with it. And it wasn't until the show Ghost Hunters came out, and that came out, and they were doing what I had been doing my whole life. I would stay, if I went to a hotel or something, I would try to get the haunted room. Or, if we were on a road trip or something, I would try to go to the place where they've seen UFOs or something like that. I would seek it out a little bit more, but I wasn't thinking much about it. It was just something that was like, this is the choice. Okay, I want this. And then the show Ghost Hunters came out, and they're showing that there are these guys, and they're out doing investigations, and they're using tools to try to get evidence. And it's like, kind of quasi-scientific, and it's like, okay, this is cool, and they're using critical thinking. And I was like, this is what I've been doing. I'm all in. This is great. And at about the same time, a bunch of paranormal groups showed up. They would use different kinds of tools, like electromagnetic field readers, and they were probably one of the first people I saw somewhere getting EVPs, or electronic voice phenomena, where spirits' voices are captured on recordings. And so they would really try to use critical thinking to debunk hauntings, or to say, there might be something there. And so that really got me. And so I was involved in that. I was doing some paranormal research, and ended up working with different groups and all sorts of stuff. And whenever we were in a group, like we might be doing a property, investigating a property for somebody or something like that, and the groups I was in would have a psychic or a medium come in to work with them, and I would just kind of be drawn to them and talk to them and ask them what they're doing, and whatever they were doing, I could just do. And so I was just kind of like, wow, so you're feeling this place and trying to feel the energy, and it's like, oh, let me try that. And I would try it, and I could totally do it. And so that I kind of eased over into the psychic and mediumship stuff. And it's funny because as I start to realize I can do that, I realize that I've been doing that kind of thing all my life. And like, I know my wife and I went to this, we went to some fort somewhere, and we went there and it was closed, and we were like, but it was a long drive to get there. So we're like, okay, well, let's look around a little bit. And so there was a cemetery across the street. And so we go across the street, and we're just, looking at the tombstones and, the dates and stuff like that, because we've driven all the way. So we're just going to walk around and look at something, and then we'll go back. And she realizes that I'm talking to somebody out loud, and I'm talking to a little girl, and I'm telling her about they have bunnies in heaven, and she can go to heaven. And she asks me about it, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And
Oh.
then I start to pay attention, and I'm talking to spirits a whole lot more than I'm aware. And sometimes it's out loud, and sometimes it's not. So there's a whole lot more going on. So you didn't know you
were talking to them. You didn't know you were talking to them.
No, I didn't realize that until.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was just another.
But
another
she was
example.
observing you having these She was observing you having these conversations, and she was able to alert you to. By the way, honey, you're talking to ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, who are you talking to? It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, pretty early on.
Look at that. Do you think, are they taking you over? What makes you unconscious that you're talking to somebody?
You know what? That is a really interesting question. When I was a little kid, one of the things that would happen in this house is I would sleepwalk. And there were times when I would be standing in the middle of a hallway, like flipping the light switch off and on, and unaware of anything. And at one time, my parents told me about this. It's like late one night, and they're hanging out watching TV or something, and I go walking through the room and out the back door, and they're like, "Wait, what just happened?"
Where are you going?
So, yeah. And they catch me, a couple houses up the street, and I'm on a determined walk. And so I don't know. I don't know if sleepwalking might be part of like some kind of channeling or something.
Interesting. You mentioned that because I remember my mother caught me heading out the front door. And I snapped to it and then going, where am I going? She goes, where are you going? I said, I don't know. I thought I was in bed. Where am I? You're heading out the front door. It's like, oh my goodness. And then I got frightened because, it wasn't safe for a little girl to be walking down the street in the middle of the night. Yeah. No. So they caught you sometimes down the street.
Yeah. So I know that happened once. I don't know if that's a common occurrence here. But that happened once, and so I don't know if I was unintentionally channeling or just unaware of stuff going on in the periphery all the time. But
it seems like you're in some kind of hypnotic state. If you're unconscious, you're not aware. But now, when you were going down the street, did you ever become conscious? Were you totally unconscious the whole time?
No, they told me about it the next day. They told me about it the next day. Yeah, so that was my childhood. And I wouldn't trade any of it.
It's very interesting.
It made me who I am. But let's see. Yeah, nowadays I realize that I do, I'll mutter something, or I'll talk a little bit, or I'll respond to spirits, and I'll be unaware of it, because I do. I've got my YouTube channel, Casual Psychic, and I do a lot of. I've done road trips. That's kind of where I started with it. I would go on these long motorcycle road trips all by myself, and I would just hit places and film myself, and this was just seeing if I liked doing it, but just kind of talking to spirits wherever I went. And it's funny because I will, I'll not be really on camera, but still be recording or something, and I'm doing something, and I'm walking somewhere, and I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, and I might respond to something, and there will be an EVP asking a question or saying something, and I'll respond out loud right afterwards. And so that's just that's just stuff that I'm learning about. Me still doing some of that, still doing some of that subconscious connecting with spirit. So
tell our
most
listeners
of the time
what an EVP is. What's an EVP?
An EVP. This is my favorite way of getting information from spirits, besides doing the psychic and mediumship thing. An EVP is electronic voice phenomena, and it is where you record something, and spirits will imprint their voices in the audio recording. And nobody really knows how this works, but it does. And
so what do you record? Like you said, you record something. Give me an example of what you record.
So with I'll
white
use
noise or something?
My channel. Yeah, we'll come back to the white noise part because that's good. But you'll make a recording. A lot of times people start out doing EVPs and they get a digital recorder and they just start recording. And they'll ask questions. They'll assume a spirit is close by and they'll go, hi, what's your name? Hi, I'm looking to speak with ghosts. Can you tell me what your name is? Can you tell me how you died? Can you tell me why you're here? And they'll ask these kind of questions. And in the silence in between the questions, and you leave a few seconds or 30 seconds of silence between each question, there might be a spirit talking or a voice coming through. And the way it works for me is I think part of my psychic abilities are called, somebody else was telling me about this, it's called direct voice. And some of my energy helps spirits get a voice. And so I have constant chatter in my audio. There are EVPs, spirits talking the whole time. And so anywhere where there's silence, you might hear spirits. And they'll come through in let's see, when I'm shooting video, they'll be on the video track. They'll be on the audio track in the video, and you'll hear whispers or you'll hear full voices. And in my audio recordings, you'll hear voices, and they're hard to hear. You got to wear headphones, and some people can hear them, some people can't. I think it's a psychic ability to be able to hear them better. Some of them are very, very loud, and you wouldn't be able to differentiate between the spirit voice and somebody else that's in the room. So it's a real thing. And with doing casual psychic, the YouTube stuff, I'm doing these videos and I check for EVPs. And since I've kind of started in paranormal investigating and using EVPs in audio, I can communicate with my mediumship. So I'll be talking to them usually out loud because that's otherwise it's a boring show watching me just respond to things.
Right.
But
yes.
Asking the questions and getting my the telepathic response or the mediumship response that I'm hearing, and usually it correlates with the EVPs that show up. And so it's interesting because the EVPs support a lot of my mediumship stuff, and my mediumship stuff definitely points to the EVP things. And there's a lot of activity going on all the time. And I don't know if this is just around me or just around psychics or if this is around everybody. I'm guessing there's probably more around me and around other psychics or other mediums than your basic muggle who's not paying attention. But
so
there's a lot going on all the time.
Are they excited because of where we are in time and what's going on the planet? Do they seem to be like the Bible says, I'm not really into that 100%, but it says like during the end times, quote unquote, we're going to have the veil will be pierced, right? And people will be able to communicate across the veil. So it seems like that is coming true. But I wondered if there's something they wanted to communicate with us. Are they communicating anything specifically with you?
I deal. One of the things about me is I deal with all sorts of different beings. One of my first big, this was like my abilities and everything being kicked up a notch. We ran into some. We did a case, a residential case, and we were helping this family out who was having all sorts of problems. And there was a psychic there, another psychic medium, and they were going on about demons. And I was thinking, this is being dramatic and you're being a sensationalist, and I've always thought of demons as being more symbolic than actual beings. Evil is a way of teaching allegory or whatever. And so we end up in this case, and my wife Crystal and I, we're kind of like, okay, give me a break, whatever. We'll go along with whatever she says, but we aren't like, I'm not saying yes, that's what it is, because my experience has been that there are plenty of spirits out there who are deceased jerks. Okay, people that are jerks during their life, they can cross over, or they can die, and they can still have the same stuff going on, same issues, same things. And part of my work is helping a lot of these spirits cross over, and that's a whole nother part. But anyway, back to the demonic thing. So we're dealing with it. We work with the family. We work with these people. I can do healing kind of stuff, and so I'm sending energy to this person, sending light to this person, and I think it's going pretty well. And she feels so much better, and she's like, everything feels like 100% different than it was, and all this stuff. And then the next morning, at my house, this is across town, I'm being attacked by something, and I get this psychic image, and you know how psychic imagery works, right? You do,
right? Of course. Oh yeah.
But
it's like image in your third eye, not in your visual eyes. Yeah, it's not with your physical eyes; it's in your third eye.
Yeah, and for your viewers, if you imagine the last thing you ate and you try to see it vividly, that's kind of, that memory kind of thing is kind of how I think clairvoyance works. Like if you see it, if you're hearing something, try to imagine your favorite song or something, imagine some soundtrack or something like that, and you can almost hear it. That's a lot how the psychic senses work. It comes in kind of like that. And so that's why you'll see us close our eyes to really concentrate and try to catch whatever it is, because sometimes it's really subtle, and sometimes it's overwhelming. So this was overwhelming. So that morning I see this woman, and I see her hand stretched towards me, and she is sending a curse at me or something. And so I instinctively put up a barrier and basically shut her off and all this stuff, and then try to fix the situation as I can. And I don't know what's happening, but I call the other people in the group, and I'm telling them what's going on, and they're checking with her and everything, and it's like, okay, and then everything settles down. And I've never had anything like this happen, but it's like definitely some sort of psychic or spiritual attack on me. So I dealt with it. I'm okay. I've got spirit guides. They're telling me I'm okay. So I don't think anything of it. And then a day later, or maybe it's the same day, I think it's the next day, we're driving in Palm Springs. We're at a UFO convention, the Contact in the Desert.
I presented there. Cool.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah.
I love that. So we're over there and we're driving through the desert, and suddenly both of us are like, something's in the car, and she doesn't consider herself really a psychic. But I tune in and I see these 3 demons. They look like little gargoyle kind of things flying around inside the car, like just, and the mirror on one of our what's the sun visor? The sun visor is down, and the mirror on the sun visor like shatters. Like nothing touched it, nothing happened, and like all of this stuff happens, and I'm just like trying to throw these things out of the car, using my mind and using kind of like imagination, basically, because I'm seeing them in this weird state, and so I'm suddenly in this weird state, and I'm throwing them out of the car. So I do that, we pull over, and we're both freaked out, and I mean, it's like that we're both in agreement that was demons. And I don't believe in demons at this point. Like that's not a thing. And neither does Crystal. And so, we pull over, and it's kind of like, okay, they broke the mirror, and like, what else can they do? Like, are we safe to drive? Like, we have to drive back to the hotel. Can we, like, do we need to do anything? How are we going to get back? Because can they pull the steering wheel? Can they give us a flat tire? Can they affect us in another way? And we know that they're out of the car.
All very good questions. So how are they, if they're no longer physical beings, how can they affect our 3D world? So I will go back. I just want to share when I was 16 at the house I was raised in. My girlfriend opened this doorway, and this huge snarling demon, just like the one in Poltergeist, pretty much like that one, came out and was able to make things fly around the room, like it was in the kitchen, and things were flying around the room. We were both screaming. My mother kind of heard us psychically and told my dad to bring her home from church, and she runs into the house, and she says, she slams this, I don't know what she did, but she kind of energetically grabbed this demon and made it go back into the stairwell, and then she turned to me and my girlfriend, and she said, I told you kids not to open that stairwell. My mother was some kind of demon damer and scared the shit out of us. But so anyway, and then for years I just thought, I made that up, right? That's not real.
Yeah.
My girlfriend moved away, and then we reconnected when we were in our mid to late 30s, and she said, oh, no, that happened for sure. And I went, no. So we shared notes, and so I've been looking for people that really are making sense out of this instead of being afraid that they have been investigating it. Because I've got this house my sister lives, and, that's a prime subject. But I don't know. I think that when my mother died, she took them with her. Because when I went back after she died, the house felt clear.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have been there, I don't know, yeah, I guess I really don't want to
They've been
speculate.
there. Yeah, I can only speculate at this point. Everybody's dead, right? I guess we could contact them. That would be great. Can we contact my mother? Ask her what was going on, Mom. I had a weird life, like you. I had this weird life.
Yeah.
You just don't talk about it. And I was raised in the 60s, right? So you definitely didn't talk about it back in the 60s. Now we have these shows. There's at least some awareness, but back then it's like, no, you don't talk about this. But this is fascinating. So you had these demonic things in your. What do you think drew them to you? You've got to. I mean, just speculate for a moment. Was it because you had started doing this work?
I think so. I think it was. I think it was what the healing and the light and stuff that I was working with that residential case. I think that basically put me on radar. And so whatever was going on with that case, whatever was happening with that, I drew the attention of some demons. And so, so the story continues.
Go ahead.
We make our way back to the hotel, and we're both freaked out. I mean, seriously freaked out. Really, we've never had anything. This goes beyond our belief system. Okay, and so we get in the hotel room, and I'm like, there's something still here. There's something still coming after me.
Oh no!
And so we get in the hotel room, and I'm like, okay, I need to take care of this. I have to face whatever this is. And so I start getting into a meditative state, and I'm like asking my guides. I'm like, okay, spirit guides, what do I do? And they're just telling me, do it how you know how to do it, or something like that. Actually, I'm censoring exactly what they said, but it was something like, do it how you normally would do it. And so I go into this alternate state, and I'm suddenly out in the hallway of the hotel. And this is like bilocating or being in astral body or something like that. And there's this big demon right there, and it's coming towards me. And I basically put it inside a jar or a vessel. I put it inside this thing, and I hand it upwards, and angels swoop down and get this thing that has the demon in it, and they take off. And it's over. And I come out of this, and I'm sitting there on the bed, coming out of meditation, and immediately dart to the bathroom and throw up from just being traumatized, basically.
What did he look like? The demon that you faced.
This one, the one in the hallway, it looked like if you've seen that movie Hellboy. It's like this giant red dude. That's kind of what this thing looked like. And so I'm freaked out, and Crystal can see it, and she is, although she doesn't, at the time, she didn't really consider herself to be psychic at all. She could see and tell what was going on. She could see it or get glimpses of it. And so she saw that. And so, I'm talking to my guides after all of this, and, I'm in the bathroom just trying to pull myself together. And I go and I grab my digital recorder, because I just bring it with me everywhere since I started doing the paranormal stuff. And I recorded for a couple minutes, and I was asking, like, okay, well, what's going on? And we got EVP responses, and they
wow.
were, and there was something that was in German, and we had to look it up on Google Translate, and it was saying, I'm going up, and there were other voices and stuff, and so we listened to it. Crystal heard all of these things, heard all of these responses, and then we listened again, and things had changed, and the voices were different, and some of the things were totally gone, and it was just totally paradigm shifting, mind blowing. And so, yeah, so I was like, okay,
I've never
well,
done the EVP. I should try that. And I had a friend that we were going to start doing it, but part of me's afraid. Yeah. It's like you just opened a portal and they started following you, and I'm enjoying my peaceful life, and so why would I do that? Why would I open up Pandora's box, you know?
Yeah, I think anybody that's interested in doing it, one of the main like unspoken rules with paranormal investigating is that you don't investigate your own house. You know, you don't want to do this at your friend's house either, because you don't want to hear something that scares you and then you have to live there still. You have to go to sleep in the same place, you know. Do this somewhere.
Right.
Do this somewhere else, you know. If you're going to try it at all, and if you're hesitant, you probably don't want to do it. But I had always
do not
been
do
doing
this
this
in your own home. That's a good one.
Yeah. So
well, what
anybody
happened
listening,
to me one time is I was in New York. and I do psychotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
And this man, my husband, was hypnotizing, or no, he was just working with him. But you get into a deep state, you know, when you're deep into your story, you get into a deep state. So he's in a deep state. And suddenly I feel this tapping on my shoulder. And he's describing how his mother suicided. She went out to a car and turned it on and, you know, died from the fumes. And he was just a baby. He was an infant. Anyway, she's tapping me on the shoulder. And so I said, honey, she wants to say something. What do I do? He says, well, and he had studied with Bill Baldwin. He says, well, we'll allow her to talk through you without taking you over. So she comes through and she tells him the story about how she killed herself because her father had been molesting her, even though he arranged for her to be married to this man that would, you know, look away while dad molested and raped his daughter.
Wow.
And so she was fine when her first two kids were born. They were boys, and this was her third boy. But as soon as she saw the third boy, she knew it was her father's. The other one had been her husband's. So she decided to kill herself because she was just tired of being raped all of her life. And so, anyway, so I didn't know anything. So I'm letting this story come through me. And then we had to go. We had to catch a plane, and he had to catch a train. And it's like, okay, we got to go. And I get home, and I'm feeling, like you said, you feel sick. And this woman had come with me, but forgot to release her. So she came with me. I said, honey, I feel really sick. So then he kind of hypnotized me and put me in a relaxation. And there she was. And she's there. You didn't tell me to leave. I came with you all the way across from New York to Hawaii. And she's there. I don't want to bother you, but somehow get me to go on because now I'm with you. So anyway, we got rid of her, set her on her way. And she took a lot of times when they finally she took all these souls with her. It's like she was holding some kind of energy of all these people. So I watched them all leave, and it was very powerful. So this is something you don't want to mess with, because if you're psychic, I don't know what I'm doing. I wish we were psychic. I wish we had Harry Potter, right? Psychic school. We can learn how to use these abilities, but there's no, maybe that's your generation can get this more organized, but I know lots of psychic people, but we're not organized. There's no, in the U.S., I feel like we aren't very organized. England, they've got Arthur Findlay College, and that is
from a lot of the mediums I talk to who are trained there. They're like, oh, it's like Harry Potter. It's a magic school, and it's in this old, it's in like I want to. Now I'm romanticizing it, but it's in a castle, and it's it seems like the coolest thing to go do. But they are the English way of doing mediumship is a lot more strict, and so I would probably not do very well. I'm casual. I'm casual with it. I'm casual with spirits, and I think I get along with spirits because of my demeanor with them. I treat them as regular people, and so they'll interact a certain way with me, and so I think that's something that drives me nuts about like the TV shows and investigators. They're talking to. There's a person right there, and you said you're a psychotherapist, right? Was that
right?
Is that correct? So
yes,
I think a lot of the work with rescuing spirits or crossing spirits over, we're just talking to them as people, and we're and from what I know of heaven or the next place everybody goes, and I'm a heaven person. That's what I call it. I think they've got places for spirits to get help. If somebody has had a really rough time, and if somebody's had trouble and they're traumatized by being abused by family members or whatever, or even being afraid of like not being religious enough or not being God fearing. I think that they can go up and they can get help, and they can kind of transition into, whatever afterlife is appropriate for them. So with the psychotherapist stuff, of course you were able to help this woman cross over, and it's basically like explaining to her probably, you're gonna be okay, and it's gonna be okay, and you can do this. And
she was fine. Yeah.
And when they're ready, the light, the portal, the tunnel will open, and they'll go in. And so a lot of it is just kind of
beautiful scene. When in my mind's eye, it seemed to go on for a long time, and it was like you got to see this. It was almost biblical. Oh, I saw this. It was all in my mind's eye. Mm-hmm. It was like I grew up in Pittsburgh, which is the where the Monongahela and the Allegheny go into the Allegheny and the Monongahela go into the Ohio. So that's the Three Rivers Point. And so suddenly I was shown the whole like tri-state area, like from the sky, and there were these souls that were coming up from the ground, and they were stretched out like you were what you said, that the wispy, like wispy beings and the souls, and it was like the rapture. It was like a depiction of the rapture. Yeah. And I just went on, and I'm kind of going, I'm moaning the whole time because it's so beautiful, and it's so spiritual. And it's like when you had that overwhelming image from the person that came into you. This woman came into me. She was something special, because when all I had to say was, okay, of course you can go on. It wasn't like a big, you have to go on and you see the light. And it was just like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know. Of course you're free to go on. As soon as it was just that thought, she's leaving, but she's taking it. I swear it was millions. And I said, I wish I could get an artist to, because it was back when there were no there weren't cities there. It was pretty much nature, but suddenly there were all these souls. Anyway.
Wow.
And it went on, and then finally I was exhausted when it was over, but I was elated at the same time. I said, somehow, and I've heard the people, they say, I escort souls over to the other side that have been trapped. So these souls have been trapped for a long time.
Yeah, you describing this,
Yeah.
I've gotten to cross over. I think I cross over a lot of spirits, but I don't get to experience it like I did this one time. And so this one time, somebody was talking about this spirit that was causing problems at a restaurant, and so I was helping out with that. And so I tune in, and there's this guy that used to work at the restaurant, and he's back, and he's upset at the restaurant because, and this is a spirit. I just need to make sure I differentiate. But yeah, there's a spirit of this guy, and he's at a restaurant, and he's in the back, and he's like banging pots around and everything, and he's just pissed off because they aren't doing the kitchen like he used to do it. He used to really keep it clean and really have his way of doing things. And so he was there, and he had stayed because he had lost his family in a car accident. So they had died, and I guess they had crossed over, and somehow he was still here, and he was kind of just staying at this restaurant and focused on all of that. And I think that emotional states that spirits are in, emotional or mental states, are like just overwhelming, and that's like the only thing that the spirit is probably focused on. So it's just, you picture you in your, being wrapped up or spun out with, some sort of feeling or whatever. And if it's suicide, it's terrible, deep depression, and you're kind of spun out with that. And I'm not saying that suicide victims end up stuck here or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, okay, whatever your deep emotions are, you can kind of be, spinning out in that if that's the only thing you've got going on. So this spirit, he's alone, but he's in this restaurant where the people who are there now, the living people, aren't doing it how he likes it to be done. And so he's just angry, and he's sad about his family gone and all this stuff. And so I tuned in, and this is all of the stuff I'm getting, and I'm kind of asking him, why he's there and what's going on and why he's sad. And he kind of shares what happened to his family being all killed in a car accident. And so I'm doing this, and Crystal's right there with me, and she's just watching me go through this. And I start crying really hard, and she reaches over and hugs me, and I'm sobbing, and it's like, it's so bad, like it's an ugly cry. And I'm still working with this guy, and I'm telling him it's okay to go over. And suddenly I see the white light portal open up, and it's like basically looking down a hallway of light. And in this hallway is are like generations of his family, and they're all looking towards him. And I'm kind of seeing it all over his shoulder as he's going into the light. And the love and the ecstasy pouring from this tunnel and pouring from these like generations and generations of his family, absolutely overwhelming. And my crying in sorrow turns to just sobbing in joy, and I'm laughing, and I'm just so overwhelmed by this. And so he crosses. I watch him go into the hallway, and then I lose focus, or it shuts off for me or something. But he goes in, and that was me getting to look into just the gateway, the gateway of heaven. And I was giggling and crying, and I couldn't focus for hours and hours after that. And I had to go. I went and I tried to ground by like holding onto a tree, like afterwards, because I was so floaty. So that feeling, that ecstatic feeling, I get it. You seeing the souls going up and everything. It's like just touching heaven to that extent was enough to knock me out. And so what happened since then is I don't get to fully experience a lot of those kind of things. My guides have learned that I'm useless when I'm able to feel the emotions or fully see these things. And so when spirits cross over, I'm really not allowed to look. And a lot of times now it's I work with angels. And I work with guides that call in other angels and all this stuff. And so they will usually do all of the actual work, and I'm just there to be a facilitator for it. But yeah, I'm unable to fully experience or feel that really good stuff, and then also the really bad stuff. So when there's something really negative, I've got a sense of it, but I don't feel it the same way as other people might. So that's keeping me from getting sick or having a stomachache or
sure.
whatever. So yeah, I've got my senses dimmed a lot of the time to protect me from this stuff and to allow me to continue to work. Because seeing the heavenly stuff or feeling that heavenly thing, yeah, I would be useless all the time, totally ineffective. So it's like, yeah, I can take everything at working very surface. So, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody famous come to you? Do they come to you just? See, now that I've kind of been doing it, it wasn't like I set out as a career, but a couple times I've had famous people, quote unquote, come to me, and I'd go to them like, "Why are you coming to me? Why don't you go into your daughter, right? Why don't you go into somebody's family?"
Yeah.
And they always say, "Because you can see me." And so, what year did Prince die? I saw Prince and what's the other one that died at the same time? David Bowie.
Huh.
And
wow.
I'm like sound asleep, and I get awakened. I think it was David Bowie died first. So, and so it's like they wake me up, but
yeah,
I feel like in that altered state, but I'm awake. And so David Bowie he's like upset. He's upset that he's dead. Very upset that he's dead. So I started.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And then I guess it was like a month later, Prince, it was really close, and Prince was ecstatic. He was like so happy. He was dancing around. And so I was able to call my husband in because I wanted to see if he saw anything, like your wife. Can you see anything? And so I have my eyes open, but I don't focus on this world. I'm focused on the other world. So I have him witness me as I'm dialoguing with Prince, and he's telling me all this stuff. But one thing he did was really cool. It's like he knew me, could read my mind. He says, "I'm going to give you a gift." And I said, "Okay, a gift, sure." And he brought in everybody I liked. Like he brought in John Lennon and George Harrison, and I was a Star Trek fan. He brought in Leonard Nimoy and Gene Roddenberry, and he kept filling up my room with all these people. And I'm telling my husband, I go, "Oh my God, he keeps bringing all these people in," and they were all smiling. No conversation with them, but he was able to fully converse with me. But it wasn't. I don't think my husband could see it, but he said I could feel these. Like your wife said, she could sense it. She knew it. She felt the energy, and Anyway, so that was one of the most profound experiences I've ever had with the dead people.
Yeah, I can imagine your husband being like, "We need to open up some doors in here. Like it's feeling full." You know,
that's really
with Prince, I think I heard an interview about him or something. This might have been like on Coast to Coast or something. It wasn't an interview with him, but it was about him. And I think he was really spiritual. He had a lot of really interesting spiritual stuff going on. that's just something I feel
and
like
that may be why
I've
he
heard
was
about
more
him.
prepared. He was ecstatic. It's like when you're okay with being dead, then you're okay with it, right? And so he was ecstatic, and he was happy, and But I would never like approach his family and say, "Oh, right away." I mean, I just I don't know how that.
Yeah.
I'm not that gutsy.
That's too much.
I'm
Well,
telling you
yeah,
on the radio, so it might get back to him. But he was happy if it gets back to him. He's totally fine. He's like,
yeah, I feel like with a lot of those messages,
they're happy. Go ahead.
A lot of them that I run into, if I'm out doing stuff on location, they're usually excited to get a voice or to be able to communicate, or like I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes when I'm doing my filming. It's just me all by myself on location, but I think I've got like an entourage on the other side, busy with taking care of business and getting everybody taken care of. So I think there's a lot going on when I show up on a location. And so the spirits, first thing is they need permission to interact. And there are lots of rules about being on audio or being on video or being in photos.
So they need permission from you or from somebody on the other side?
I think from the angels. I think there might be. I think there are rules about spirits presenting themselves or being filmed or being recorded, and I think it's to keep us in our world. We're here in the physical, living this life, so that we can live this life. And if we have too many behind the scenes, if we're exposed to too much behind the scenes, it can lessen our experience here, right? If we can see every ghost around and they seem to be doing fine, then it's not so hard that I try as much in this physical life. And so it's like, yeah, okay, so they kind of are keeping that veil up to a certain extent.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
because we have to be in the veil. We have to be in the experience, yes.
Yeah. Otherwise we don't get any, we aren't learning anything. We don't have these opportunities for growth. We aren't doing any of our physical living stuff. And so, we don't want spoilers. We want to stay engrossed in this game. And so I don't know where the rules come from, but I think the angels are allowed to let people talk or let people be on film and stuff like that. And so everybody's leery about whether or not they're allowed to talk.
You have videos of ghosts?
Very little. And nothing that I would say is like, oh, this is 100% spirit.
Okay. But it's audio.
And the audio stuff, yeah, that's 100%. That is I think it's spirit. The way they're talking, the things they're talking about, the way they're interacting with me, I'm under the impression that is what that is. I'm getting angels. I'm getting other kinds of beings. I'm getting fairies. I don't know if I've recorded ETs or not. Nothing that has stood out as this is an ET. And people spirits. So I've heard all of these things on EVP, and they.
So tell me about the fairies. How do you know they're fairies? Do they say I'm a fairy?
Yeah. I've seen. I think I'm mostly clairaudient, so I can hear spirits really well. And actually, I feel like I should elaborate on this, so because people will understand this, and it will freak out.
Okay.
It will freak some of them out. Okay, right
Go ahead.
as you're going to sleep, there's the hypnagogic state, and it's the state between being awake and being asleep, and you're kind of in a twilight between between realities. And a lot of times you'll get psychic impressions at that point. And so you're going to pick up on things, and you might hear spirits talking. And it sounds like there's stuff going on either in the room, people are mumbling, or in another room in your house, or maybe out on the street, there are a bunch of people talking. And sometimes I've noticed it's more pronounced if you have like white noise or the sound of a fan running. I think that vibrates the air in a certain way that allows spirits to basically take over that sound and kind of shape it into voices. And I know this sounds totally insane to people that don't have this experience, but that a lot of times in your hypnagogic state, you're gonna pick up on this stuff, and some of those voices you're hearing, that might be clairaudience that you're picking up. And some people will see scenes, and it's like just as you're starting to drift off, you'll see images pop into your head, and so that's part of that. Now I don't even know where I was going.
Right, and let me say something about it, because I think if you want to get in touch with someone, if you have someone that just died, you know, you can invite them to contact you, and that's when you get into that hypnagogic state, you're relaxed, you're open, then they're able to contact you, and that's when I get a lot of my contact. That's it. That right between sleep and awake, but it's real. I mean, I had this one being, spirit, whatever it was, and called out my name, and they bopped me on the tip of my finger, and I went, ow. And I got up and my fingertip was bleeding. I said, you don't have to be that rough. You want my attention. So, they're like, how much can they, get through and affect this reality? So that was very like, okay, you got my attention. Now what? And nothing happened that night, but then over time. So I started saying yes to the contact because they need your permission, I think, right? And so, and then
I think they just need your awareness.
To calm my fears or awareness,
Yeah.
Anyway, I said, like, not saying actually the word yes, but it's like, okay, I'm open for more contact. And then I started getting more contact over the years. But if I was afraid and freaked myself out, I don't think I would have gotten the amount of contact that I do. Yeah, you have to be aware. You have to say, okay, it's okay for you to talk to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because we know that giving approval doesn't. Let me rephrase this. We've heard of enough people that have not given approval, that are inundated with spirit stuff, and they're terrified of it. And so it's not necessarily being like saying yes to it that allows it. So I think it's just being open.
Well, I've also been like protecting myself. So when I started getting contact that I didn't like, I say I forbid you because I've had also ET experiences. So I've had some abduction experiences. But then over the years, I've had the piece of like, was that ghosts or was that extraterrestrials or, But once you're open and you can get this contact, it's kind of a fascinating life that you have, right? When you're, that might have been scary driving down the road with demons in your car, but it's like in hindsight, like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I had demons in my car.
Exactly. Yeah, my world opened up a lot. You're saying you aren't sure whether it's ghosts or ETs or whatever. Yeah, I've had some experiences with ETs also, and I think once you open up to a certain extent, you draw the attention of a lot of folks. If you're trying to stay pretty chill and just touching on it a little bit here and there, I don't think you're going to probably draw too much attention. You might grab the local spirits or whatever, but once you really start opening up, they'll come from far and wide to come and visit you. I mean, that's how you end up with Prince and David Bowie.
Yeah, like this, there they are.
Right?
Of all the people on the earth, they're visiting me. Thanks for visiting me. But I did help them. Like they were going, well, how do I go on?
Yeah.
I don't know how I know what to tell them, but you just do. You know what to do at the time. It's like a lot of them just need permission to move on.
I think so. I think people, whether they're alive or dead, are going to resonate with other people that they resonate with, and so the spirits I connect with are the ones that they can. They see me and they see a kindred spirit in me as them. And if I'm saying, you know what, it's okay, then they're more likely to trust me and more likely to hear what I'm saying. And so I'm sure there are spirits just that are drawn to different people for whatever reasons. But our personalities it's probably our personality and our life experience. So. Well,
when I saw your pictures, I said, you have a gentle demeanor. You know what I mean? It's like this is a gentle person. So I could see. Oh yeah, they would feel comfortable communicating with you. Now, do you ever get messages for like people that are still alive? From departed people?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I can do normal mediumship readings and stuff like that. I don't rush people in the grocery store and tell them that they've got somebody, coming after them.
Yeah,
I feel
there's that guy that they have the show on CBS, and he goes up to people. Do you believe in psychics? And then he tells them, you've got so and so. Yeah. Hanging around you. I thought it was kind of amusing. That of course that's Hollywood.
Yeah, I believe it. I think they're incredible talented mediums out there doing this stuff. And, not to toot my own horn, but no, but we're receiving messages all the time and stuff. But I think it's totally inappropriate to go up to somebody and to offer this information to them, because I think that we all have free will, and we're all at a certain point in our life where we're supposed to be. And me going up and giving somebody a reading without them seeking it themselves or passing on a message, that can blow somebody off their life path. Because they're in a certain place in their life, and if it's meant to be, spirits will make it happen. Like the whole, you aren't going to tell Prince's family that you spoke to him, right? You aren't going out of your way to contact them. But if it's meant to be, he will make sure that the family hears your radio, and or contacts you or comes across you in some way. I think that kind of stuff, spirits are it's crazy how much control they have of guiding us to do things or to have things happen. So I feel like the supermarket readings and stuff, if it's meant to happen, that person is going to start talking to you in line just unbidden, and they're going to say something, and you're going to be like, okay, this is crazy, but here we go.
Here we go.
So, yeah, so I think that's.
So
I think we have to be really
privately?
careful about. Yeah. I work privately. I do readings. Mostly, I focus on cleansing and clearing of people and places, and doing spirit rescue stuff, and that's basically just moving spirits on or pulling, removing attachments from people and stuff like that. I don't like to do readings where I'm just telling somebody that no, they should not go back to their ex. Like that's your free reading right now. Don't go back to your ex. That's not a good idea.
Right.
Just in general. So,
right.
But yeah, I love doing these kind of readings where I'm doing cleansing and clearing, or spirit rescue, or I really love working with other psychics and mediums. I think I've got an interesting skill set and interesting abilities that allow me to really help other mediums and other sensitives with their stuff, whatever it is going on with them. And
that's
like
wonderful.
a lot of it is let's see. A lot of it is like working with their body, or their like energy body. Like I can like can I work on you for a second, or can I use you as an example?
Yes.
And we'll keep it nice.
Go ahead.
So the way I'll do it is I'm going to basically look at you, and I'll see your silhouette. Okay. I'll see your silhouette, and I'll just start scanning down through your silhouette and see what I'm picking up. And it'll be stuff that is resulting in something physical in your body, or I will feel it. Like right now I feel something. It's kind of upper chest into the throat. To me, it feels like it's like an upper heartburn or something like that. But yeah, I mean, scanning through your body, that's the first thing that's like jumping out at me, is this feeling that I'm having myself. And so I wasn't having it a second ago before. I wasn't having this a second ago before saying I would tune in, but I suddenly am aware of it. And it's, like
well, I do take digestive enzymes when you get older. I'm 66, so when you get older, it's harder to digest foods. A lot of foods that you could eat when you were younger. So I'm having to be very careful about what I eat, because it will talk back to me and keep me up and give me heartburn. So
and something else I want to add to that whole, like, as you're getting older, you need to. It's harder to digest certain foods. I think that we're all having a lot of trouble with eating things, because I think foods have been modified so much that they no longer work the same way as they used to. So like a whole lot more people are having allergies and having I can't think of the word, food problems than 20 years ago or something. Like, I think everybody, no matter how old you were, 50 years ago, you could eat whatever it was, your whole life and not have some sort of problems. And I think we're all getting a little bit more sensitive.
Organic. When I was a kid, everything was organic. I mean, even in Pittsburgh, you could go 5 miles and you would run into a farm. But now there's so much. I mean, I feel grateful that I got to see the world before it got all polluted. And I feel sad that this generation, a lot of the kids haven't seen the great beauty that this planet had. And so, what do you think of the state of the world? Do you have any
Oh,
See,
man.
I get that the people on the other side are really concerned about what's happening here, because we do a massive war, or even this whatever's going on with. I think we've reached 1 million dead on the planet and 200,000, and so everybody's reaching these milestones of people passing, and so there's a lot of action going on between the veil right now. A lot of activity.
Yeah, absolutely. You are 100% on there. And I'm kind of still, I haven't forgotten to keep working on you. I'm kind of seeing you on the side here, but also talking about this stuff. So, so this is strange. My team, my guides, they've worked with me. They're working all the time with me, kind of behind the scenes. And so all of 2019, every time we would go to the 99-cent store or dollar store or whatever, we'd be walking around and I would be grabbing the face masks and throwing them in the little basket that Crystal has. So, I mean, I probably have 40 masks or whatever, just because I kept grabbing them all 2019, and there's no reason for it, and hand sanitizers, and it's just really weird. But it's okay, so they knew what was going on in 2019, and they were preparing me for it, and there's absolutely no reason for me to be picking up face masks or whatever. So, yeah. So
I've been
anyway,
doing that for a while too. Not face masks, but I've been buying extra. It's I have to stock on this. Why? I don't know. Apocalypso. I don't know. There's something coming. We're going to need this.
Yeah. I know that this is big because in the beginning when I started I was asking spirits about it, and I mostly got shut down for the first few months of lockdown here in California. They basically had me shut off. They didn't want me getting more information about it. But before that happened, they kept using the word exciting when talking about these times. And I got a sense early on that there were the lockdown and the COVID stuff, that was just the first part of it. And then
there's much more coming. Yes.
And then I knew the protests were coming. That was the next thing. I didn't know what flavor it would be in, but I just saw that the unrest and all of that stuff, and the potential police state and all of these kind of things. And it seems like, if we just kind of look around, it feels like, okay, things kind of look like they're settling. And I can't really do that. I can't settle down with it. I'm still super concerned about the virus. I don't think we're done with that. I don't think we should be getting lax with that. I'm afraid that's still going to be going. I did a reading really early on my channel. I said, okay, I'm going to ask spirits about the virus, and I said, okay, well, when can it be? When will it be over? And I got August, and so a lot of things did change in August. But I don't know who that spirit was talking. I don't trust that. I feel like we still need to be very careful about that. And one of the things that's coming up isn't this isn't psychic, but this is just about the virus, is the people that we know personally who have survived it, they weren't hospitalized or anything like that, but they're still dealing with the symptoms of it afterwards. and they've got like somebody has glaucoma because of it. Actually, there are people that have been hospitalized, but there's like somebody we know had their feet amputated because of COVID.
Oh,
and so it's like there's some crazy, horrible stuff that happens to people that are the people that are like, yeah, it's cool, they made it. You know, like that, they aren't factoring in the damage that this thing does. So it's not something to mess around with. And you really don't.
That's what I'm getting too. I get that. No, you just because somebody has symptoms and they go off, it doesn't mean it's over, because it creates these harmful effects in your body. And it's like I've been exhausted. So I've been knocked down, but it's like I'm exhausted. Like, and I seem to be coming out of that. But there was a while it's like, you know, I feel like I have to go take a nap 5 times a day, and I'll get up for a couple hours. Like, no, I'm going to take a nap again. I felt the same. I felt the same thing, and I think a lot of people are. And I think a lot of us are aware of the collective consciousness. I keep messing that up. Mm-hmm.
But I think we're aware of the environmental energy and the energy of other people. And so, I mean, my life, I'm a homebody. I'm mostly working at home. I like to go out and I do stuff, but most of the week I'm here at home and I'm in front of the computer working on editing stuff or writing or whatever. And so my life didn't change a whole lot. But when the lockdown stuff started happening, I was only able to focus for maybe 2 hours a day. And then I just couldn't focus, and I was just spaced out. And I had talked to a lot of other people, and that seems to be the consensus. I mean, most people are just like, yeah, I can't focus. I can't function like I normally do. And, it wasn't that my life had changed a whole lot. My daily routine was exactly the same most days, but I couldn't focus. And, I think we're very aware of other people's feelings and stuff like that. And so, I think I've been talking to other psychics and stuff about this, and they'll reach out to me and they'll be like, what is going on right now? Because they're feeling some sort of crazy wave of energy. And I feel like over the past, since March, we've had these waves of energy and waves of different kinds of beings and stuff like that coming through and visiting our planet or visiting our areas or whatever. And so I think it was like before, let's see, I guess in May or whatever, there was a wave came through, and the message I got from my guides was like, don't stick your head out. You need to be, try to be as muggle as you can, right? Don't tune in, don't meditate, don't light up, don't draw attention. And so that lasted for a week or so, and I got the same kind of reports from a lot of my light worker friends and psychics and stuff.
Yeah.
They said the same thing. And then a little while later, everybody will be like, wow, everything's good. Everything feels fine. And then a few weeks later.
So what are you feeling right now? Because you're very psychic. What are you feeling right now about yourself personally and about the next,
it feels like something's lifted. What?
The election. What do you think is going to happen? I think we're on day 40 before the election, and there's all this stuff going on. Every day is like 100 days, right? Every day there's so much stuff packed in a day. You can't even
we've all
digest
aged
it
a
all.
lot this year. We've all aged a ton, and I mean, I'm saying that in jest, but you look in the mirror. I look in the mirror and I see, oh man, I'm definitely not doing as well as I was.
Oh, I see a lot of people
4 years ago.
Like the few kind of celebrities that are still like on the screen, like news people and stuff. It's like they've all aged. I think you would get them, December 2019 and then to December 2020. It's like two different people, and that's probably the effect on most of humanity. This year has been a year of transformation. Some to the good, some to the bad, and everything in between. But I'm feeling anxiety and excitement at the same time, like something really big is about to happen. And I personally don't know. I tell people, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. I mean, it's really a point where, you don't know how long you're going to be in this because anything can happen. So you have to live more fully in each day to just enjoy your day, because today we're alive, right? Today we're here.
Yeah.
And I have no idea.
The crazy thing you're saying is
on some level.
Yeah, I don't think we've I don't think most of us have lived much where we don't know, we can't be sure about what's happening in a week from now. Like a week from now could be totally up in the air. So, I mean, and that's not a psychic thing. That's just like, wow, we are living in such a different world right now. We don't know what to expect. But
we don't know.
But yeah, you were talking about that excitement and anxiety. Okay, so the things
at the same time
I'm seeing. Yeah, fun. So the something that's been on my mind for a long time. Oh wow! I wonder if this is it.
Yeah, tell me. I'm excited.
Okay, so I've been. This is wow. I haven't thought about this for a while because I've just been trying to keep up with work and stuff. I was drawn to getting eye protection, and I was seeing a lot of smoke and debris in the air. And I was seeing it as I was afraid of a volcanic eruption. And this was a couple months ago or so, before the whole western side of the U.S. lit up on fire.
Right.
I'm wondering if that's something I was seeing. But anyway, yeah, eye protection. And I would recommend everybody know where you're keeping your eye protection, like the, your construction goggles, those kind of things. And I don't know what that's for, but
I don't know what that's for. I saw this full, like a helmet thing, like an astronaut. And they said, don't worry about the mask, just wear this whole. It was like, I guess its own air system. And I said, yeah, we're going to need that. I better order two.
Yeah.
I did. That was the first impression. And other people said, oh, that's ridiculous. I go, no. I'm going to track. I didn't save the link. And I just went, oh my God, that's where we're going. It's like that person who banged out. It's like, yep, we're going there. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow, but it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah. So with my,
but you got the eye thing. You got the eye thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So seeing that, and then I've really felt like, okay, we need to, like, volcanoes. I've been thinking the Long Valley Caldera, and that's in California, kind of in central California. I've just felt like that's like, oh, we need to watch that, and I think it's dormant. I don't even think it's, I don't think it's showing any signs of life or anything. But
we don't need any volcanoes
really
on top of all this. Oh, no.
So that was something, and then like earthquakes, and I feel like big natural disaster
you got
stuff.
The California fires. You got the California
fires.
I'll
take it.
We're not adding to it. Okay, let's just go back and call it the California fires. We don't need these earthquakes. I mean,
but but I also, being an alarmist here, I also want to point out that I'm always expecting a big earthquake. So you guys can all just go, okay, that's not a big deal then.
Well, you're in California.
So we can let that
life.
go. Yeah.
I mean, you're in California. That's your life, right?
Yeah, of course. But the volcano thing
I'm in Maui.
is unique to me.
Yeah,
You're on Maui?
I'm in Maui, so the volcano. Yeah, so if the Pacific Rim goes, we're going to be, yeah.
You guys are going to have to watch out for tsunamis. That's the thing. I went to Kihei School when I was a kid.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So
you got to live here a while. What I
lived there for a year.
Years ago.
Uh-huh.
So when I was living in Pennsylvania I left in 93. So this was probably around 1989 or 90. And I had this very clear vision where I'm running from the tsunami and I'm climbing the mountain and I'm carrying something. I looked down and it's a cat and a carrier. And I'm in communication with ETs or somebody, and they said, keep going, just get higher up in the mountain and we can beam you up, but you got to get higher. And I'm like, I'm there. Suddenly I'm there. I'm in the future. I'm experiencing this. And I'm analyzing it while it's happening. I go, what is going on? And where do I have a cat? How did I get a cat? I don't have a cat. I had a little Shih Tzu dog at the time. And I go, I must be in the future. What's going on? So have you ever had anything like that? It's yet to come. But you're talking about the tsunami and the volcanoes. But what I got is if I get high enough, they're going to, I guess, take me up, which I've been taken up, before as a ET contactee, and we're not going to go into that. We're doing ghosts and paranormal. But have you ever had any kind of prophetic visions? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah, a lot of crossover.
Let's see. It's funny. After a certain point, you aren't. Well, I shouldn't say you. I should say me. I should own it. After a certain point, I'm not noticing the things I'm getting right as much because it's so common. It's a common occurrence. So, like the big world-size things, those things, yeah, I take notice of. A lot of the politics, a lot of the virus stuff, and how things are playing out with all of this stuff. I was telling Crystal about this stuff a year or two ago, and I think there's a lot still to come. But I really try to stay out of talking about politics and stuff because I think we all are super emotional about it, and rightly so. But I don't need to lose it on the radio and go crazy on the radio talking about this stuff. So
I have a show.
But
I have a show I do.
Yeah.
I was doing this one show, and I made sure I had a Democrat, a Republican, and an Independent. And I have another fellow was directing it, and then I was like the moderator. So it was very interesting. But we burned out after 4 weeks because it's just so heavy, and it's like, we did everything we could to remain civil, and we did. We really remained civil, but the issues are so hot, and our country is so divided. Some of the conversations continued afterwards, and it's like, it got to the point where, look, if you think that, you're stupid, that type of thing. And I said,
well,
you're totally entitled to your opinion. Right. So, go ahead.
I totally get the if you believe that, you're stupid. I totally agree with that though. But the problem is we're living in different realities or something because like what the other side is thinking, and this goes for either side, I'm not going to say which side I'm on. You could probably
we're going to leave that out of
watch
this
my videos or whatever. But like the other side seems totally insane, and it's because, I don't know what this is about, but about when 2012 was coming through, there was an idea about the Earth basically splitting into two dimensions. And I'll even call it two realities, right? And I feel like it did happen in 2012. I do feel like we split into like two dimensions, and there's a higher dimension and a lower dimension. There's a fear-based dimension and a loving dimension or whatever, and we're drifting apart. And I think that we're really pretty much in different worlds. And it doesn't look like that when we look outside, or if we turn on TV, we're seeing both worlds. But it just seems like the other side is totally insane, and like we're totally. How can they possibly believe that? Whatever that is, right?
Whatever it is.
But I feel like we've split into two worlds. I think 2012, that whole two-world hypothesis happened, and we split into two worlds, and we're living it. And I think the higher group is going to continue to basically ascend in vibration and become more spiritual and more connected. And I think the lower group is really struggling to hold on to that reality. And eventually everybody is going to entrain to the higher level, because I think we're headed towards light. We're headed towards good. We're headed towards ascension. And so everybody is going to come up, but not without a bunch of struggle. So I think like the higher group is going to have a lot of energy and end up pulling up the lower group. I'm going to drag them up.
That's a good way of putting it. And I have some, I get the UFO people and whistleblowers, and there was a gentleman named A.R. Borden who said that coming down to 12/21/12, he was meeting with a group of extraterrestrials and humans, and I'm sure you're familiar with the Anunnaki story, Planet X, right? And they said, well, it was coming like in a course that was going to really be, negative, dangerous, destructive things happening on the planet. So they decided to shift us out of the time space, and they got us out of the way of the incoming orbit that was going to be so deleterious to existence. And then when it went through, they put it back where they took us from, right? I think they can return you 15 minutes later. So there was this polarity, there was this division, and part of the polarity, between good and evil, light and dark, that continuum is, it gets maximized right before the shift into, ascension, or however you symbol it, rapture, however you symbol it, right? And so that's why it's so, the last, 3-4 years have been so extreme, like it's never been before. And so a lot of us are suffering like PTSD because it's so extreme. But in physics, they said in order to get to the next higher level, you have to have a perturbation, because the reality gets so perverse. The system becomes so perverse, it can't change without some kind of outside perturbation. So I'm not sure what the perturbation is. I don't know if it's, the current political system, or if it's going to be earthquakes and volcanoes or fires. But it seems like we're experiencing these perturbations that are taking us from one reality that we thought was the norm, right? We wake up and I can go to work today. Now it's like, nope, I can't go to work. Oh man, if I'm going to go into town, I got to get like a mask. I got to make sure, and you have to do preparation if you're going to go into the masses. Even at my property, I've got delivery people. I go, look, I'm quarantined. The government didn't tell me that I'm quarantined because I'm high risk. Because I think I have lung problems. So I've always had them my entire life. That might be part of what you're picking up. And it's like, I don't know if this is real or not. But I certainly don't want to just breathe somebody there and then I'm in the fight for my life and then I'm dead, because I got too much to do. I don't have the time to be dead now. I remember when I was dead. And I remember being born, and I remember my mission. I've done a lot of work for myself. I was like, no, I'm busy. I don't have time for this death and dying stuff. I'm fully alive. I've got work to do, and I'm having fun because I feel charged because I'm on my mission. Like you've got your purpose, and it's exciting. So and we're running out of time. Wow, that's great. I want to make sure
we
get
could
everything
keep doing this.
You want to tell our listeners. We could. Our clock's going to run out, and I only get 2 hours.
Yep.
But we can do another one.
Yeah.
We can do another one. This is fun. And I've
got
some. I don't know if you know the people that are. I think the psychics like yourself. There's a couple that are really good. Anyway, if you know any friends that you want to bring on, I'm really interested about your group that you have. Because I'm kind of lonely out here. You know, I have other psychic friends. They do tarot card, but they don't see ghosts like I do. I'm one of the few that I really have worked with ghosts. I've done psychotherapy with ghosts. I've had ghosts come to my house for 2-3 years at a time, and they come, a couple times a week. And I couldn't get them to go over right away. I finally got them to go over after they had to complete something. You can say go to you can kind of push them over, but sometimes no, I'm not done. I'm here in the bardo for a reason, and I'm not done.
Yeah.
And I don't push me across. I really have to complete it. So this one guy, he didn't go until his son died. His son ended up dying, and when the son died, they grabbed each other by the hand, and then they went over. And it was whenever those things happen, I get these chills. I just got chills through my whole body. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. You get the last 3 minutes. What do you want to tell our listeners? And we'll have you back again.
Okay. Yeah, this has been really fun. I've really enjoyed this. So if you want to contact me, or if you want anything more about me, if I haven't already bored you or got off on tangents, not actually answering questions enough for you, find me on casualpsychic.com, or you can find me on YouTube. I'm really proud of my YouTube channel. It's also Casual Psychic, and my name is Brett Carstens. So you got to go check some of those out. To see what I'm talking about with EVPs, go find the ones I did at the Idaho State Penitentiary.
Oh,
those are totally insane. I've never heard EVPs like that, but it's like a crowd of people around me, just talking about stuff, and it's bizarre, and it's spirits on audio, and I try to set it up in a way where you can hear it. So, check that out. If you are interested in my services, again, casualpsychic.com, you can go there and find me. And, so that's all my
awesome.
plugs.
I'm going to do that.
All right.
I'll contact you to get you on a future show. I'm going to go check out the YouTube, and I'm going to check out the Idaho State Penitentiary. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, much love and blessings, and aloha. Thank you so much, Brett. Thank you, listeners, and we'll see you again on Sunday. Aloha, blessings.